Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and today we wrap up our roster breakdown series with the Vanderbilt Commodores. So Vanderbilt last year under Clark Lee, led by Diego Pavia, had the best year in school history, winning 10 games. They got left out of the playoff. They lost their bowl game to Iowa, but it was still it's very clear that Vanderbilt is not Vandy anymore. All right, this is a legitimate football program because the money is there for Vanderbilt. The only challenge was making the people with the money care about football, and we're getting there. And that's really headlined by, getting right into the roster breakdown here, the fact that they have Jared Curtis on their roster, the five-star quarterback who flipped from Georgia to Vandy. He is 6'3", 230, coming in as a true freshman, the highest-rated recruit ever to come to Vanderbilt. And at the spring game, he was the most ready-looking guy, just physically, the way that he was standing, how he was bigger than everybody else, and just when you watching him throw the ball around, command the offense, I think he will be the day one starter. But if he's not, the guy who I think will be the backup but could be the number one guy is Blaise Berlowitz, who is a senior standing at 6'3", 200 pounds, made 6 appearances last year behind Diego Pavia, was 9 of 17 for 131 yards and 1 touchdown. But I do believe that it's going to be Jared Curtis starting at quarterback for the Commodores to try and keep this train going. And at running back, whoever is quarterback is going to have a good bit of help because Cedric Alexander returns. He is a 5'9", 207-pound senior who started all 13 games last year for the Commodores, had 105 carries for 500 yards and 11 touchdowns, also had 19 catches for 200 yards and 4 more scores through the air. And then backing him up is McKillen Young, who is really their home run hitter. He is a 5'10", 210-pound senior who had 46 carries for 414 yards. That is 9 yards per carry and 6 touchdowns. He really is their home run big play threat. And they also bring on Evan Hampton as a true freshman. He is 6'2", 215. He is a 4-star guy on 24/7. Coming out of Kentucky, he was Kentucky's Gatorade Player of the Year last year, had over 1,900 rushing yards and 28 scores as a senior. So Vandy's running back trio could be very dangerous in the SEC this year. Moving outside to receiver, they return Junior Sherrill, who is their 5'11", 200-pound senior outside threat, really playing the X. He had 54 catches for almost 800 yards and 7 scores last year. Like I said, he really is that boundary receiver, downfield threat that Vandy has. And they portal in 2 guys here who should be receiver 2 and 3. The first is Ja'Cory Thomas, who is 6'3", 215, really big body as a junior coming over from Old Dominion. He had 41 catches for over 700 yards and 5 scores last season. And from Alabama, they bring over Cole Adams, who was 5'10", 183 as a grad transfer. He only had 5 grabs for 70 yards and a score last year after battling some injuries during his time with the Crimson Tide. But some depth in the Vandy receiver room. Bryson Coleman is 6'5", 215 pounds as a junior. He played in all 13 games last year, had 3 grabs for 67 yards and a touchdown, and he's just big enough with his size and his frame where he can be utilized by the right scheme, the right play callers. Joseph McVay is also in that room, 6'1", 200 pounds as a junior. He only had 2 grabs last year. And then Tristan Brown is a 5'10", 185-pound junior who played in all 13 games last year, had 10 catches for 137 yards. At tight end, they return one of their 2 from last year. Eli Stowers is in the pros, but Cole Spence is back. He is 6'7", 255. As a graduate student, had 15 grabs for over 200 yards and 2 scores last year. So obviously, Eli Stowers took a lot of the targets last year for the tight end room, but Cole Spence really did play well when he was thrown to and when he was involved. And then behind him is Javonte Connor, who is transferring over from East Carolina. He is 6'4", 235 as a junior. He had 25 grabs for over 300 yards and 3 scores last year. So tight end, it'll take a bit of a hit with, dynamics-wise without Stowers, but those 2 guys should still be very strong. Going through Vandy's offensive line, Orion Irving, who's pictured on the right here. He is 6'6", 310 pounds as a senior. He played in 8 games, but didn't quite earn a start last season, so they'll be breaking him in at tackle. They bring over Micah DeBose from Alabama, who is 6'5", 335 as a sophomore. They also bring over Lyndon Cooper from Pitt, who is 6'2", 310 as a grad transfer. He'll be a very valuable piece on that offensive line as a transfer. Cade McConnell returns. He is 6'5", 323 as a senior. Started in all 13 games for the Commodores last season. And another transfer is Bo Johnson, who is 6'6", 305 pounds as a junior, coming over from North Dakota State. So a good bit of transfers, a good bit of new on that offensive line. We'll have to see how well it gels because if they do start Jared Curtis and the offensive line is struggling, that could spell a lot of trouble for Vanderbilt's offense early on in the season. But let's move over to the defensive side of the ball here for the Commodores. They returned Miles Capers coming off the edge. 6'4", 249 as a graduate student. Started in all 13 games last year for Vandy. Had 40 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. And they bring over Brian Allen Jr. from Iowa, who is 6'3", 264 as a grad transfer. Had 16 tackles, half a sack, and a fumble recovery. And then some depth in that room are guys who are coming back from last year. Mason Carter is 6'5", 251 as a junior. He played in all 13 games, total 3 tackles last year. And Edwin Colenge is a 6'3", 260-pound graduate who had 31 total tackles and a sack last year. Moving inside to D tackle, another returner. Yalanan Otara is a 6'7", 315-pound graduate student, so he is a big guy in the middle there. Played in just 2 last season, had a pair of tackles, but he has that production earlier on in his career. And then Glenn Seabrooks is back as well, a 6'3", 340-pound junior who played in 13, had 12 starts last year, racked up 19 tackles, half a TFL, and a pass breakout. Some depth in that room. Jalen Stone is a 6'2", 306-pound senior who played in 13 games, had 22 tackles, 2 TFLs, a forced fumble, and 2 pass breakups. And then Talon Carter is a Jacksonville State transfer who is 6'1", 280 as a sophomore, had 57 tackles, a sack and a half, and 2 pass breakups. Moving back to the linebacker room now. More returners. There's a lot of continuity on this Vanderbilt defense. Brian Longwell here is a 6'1", 240-pound senior who started all 13 games last year for the Commodores, had 71 tackles, 9 TFLs, a sack, 2 pass breakups, and a pick. And Bryce Cowan also returns at 6'4", 235. He's a senior who played in all 13 games last year, had 31 tackles for 4 TFLs, 3 sacks, and 5 forced fumbles. He's a thumper. Some depth in that linebacker room. Nick Rinaldi, 6'3", 240 as a graduate. He played in all 13 games last year, and he was very productive, had 47 tackles, 7 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, and a pass breakup. And then Jamison Curtis is a junior, standing at 6'1", 238. He played in 8 games last year and racked up 8 tackles. And then going back to Vandy's secondary, Jordan Matthews, another Jordan Matthews coming through Nashville, 6'2", 192 as a senior, played in all 13 games last year, had 20 tackles, a forced fumble, and 3 pass breakups. And the two-way guy, Martell Height, is also back, 6', 188 as a senior, started in 10 games, played in all 13, had 35 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and 4 picks during his reps at corner. But he will also be used as a receiver, as a returner. He really is a super utility guy that Clark Lee likes to move around. But some depth at corner. Caden Daniels is a 6'1", 189-pound sophomore who played in 5 games last year, racked up 6 tackles and a pass breakup. And Jalen Davies is an Oklahoma State grad transfer, 5'11", 180, only played in 1 game last season, but that was due to injury. He has been productive as well in his pass there in Stillwater. Then moving back to the safety room, C.J. Hurd returns, 5'11", 210 pounds as a junior, started in all 13 games last year, racked up 71 tackles, 3.5 TFLs, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, a pick, and 3 pass breakups. And then Jalen Lackey is back for his junior season, 6', 195, played in all 13 games last year, and had 11 tackles. Some depth in that safety room. Ricardo Jones comes over from Clemson. He's a 6'2", 200-pound junior who had 39 tackles, a fumble recovery, but 6 picks last year. So Jones can really be that ball hawk for the Commodores. Carson Lawrence is a 6'2", 212-pound sophomore who played in all 13 games, had 9 tackles and a pass breakup. And then Dante Carter is a 6'1", 196-pound junior who played in all 13 games and racked up 33 tackles. And then at kicker, more continuity. Brock Taylor is back to boot the ball for the Commodores this fall. 6'1", 165 as a senior. He was 13 of 14 on field goals last year and 60 of 61 on extra points. 61 extra points is a lot of extra points they have to kick. So that's Vandy's roster. What really does stick out is their continuity on defense. Right, and they didn't have an amazing defense last year, but it was good. It was a very solid unit. So all that returning production is going to be a massive plus for Clark Lee, especially if you're breaking in a freshman quarterback with an offensive line that has a lot of unknown. I'm very confident in Vanderbilt's running backs, in those 2 returners, as well as Evan Hampton. Their receivers I do also trust, but it comes down to, can your true freshman quarterback stay composed and get the ball around, take care of it, and can your offensive line hold up for him? It's cliche, but the offensive line of the quarterback is going to determine Vandy's offense this year, believe it or not. And just with the potential of Jared Curtis and how he's already looked in the spring, I do believe he'll be their starter week 1. And we'll have to see how the O-line holds up, how quickly he's able to get comfortable, because this offense, the ceiling is very high with their skill players, but the floor is also very low because of their potential issues with the blocking and potential quarterback struggles. So we'll see what happens with Vanderbilt this year. Do I see 10 wins again? I don't really think I do. We'll go through the schedule later on in the summer and make a full record prediction, but I do believe that, the past 2 years with Pavia were not flukes. Well, like Clark Lee is building this program to be a contender in the SEC and nationally for years to come. So they're still going to be incredibly relevant. I just do believe that with Jared Curtis, as you're breaking him in, you'll see, continue to elevate year over year. I'm not sure they're going to be there this year to maybe get to Atlanta and get to the playoff. That'll take a bit, but it will be another exciting year here in Nashville for the Vanderbilt Commodores. And that concludes our roster breakdown series. We'll be going through schedule breakdowns, record predictions. We'll be ranking all the position groups on all the socials. So if you have been enjoying all this college football content and you want more daily preview stuff all the way up until the season begins, subscribe to me here and follow me on Twitter. I will be doing this every single day until we kick off in August. So thank you for watching this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.